Yeah, hi, good evening to all. So, we have covered until three demos. So, this is the fourth demo. So, until three demos, we have covered in the three demos, in the last demo, we have worked on uh, duplicate transaction check and as well as the validator rule one class, which is like if the amount is less than zero, we are trying to throw the exception and we are getting the data like whenever we start the application and we are fetching it from the database, like not we are reading from the application dot properties. First we have implemented using the application dot properties. Second one is sorry. So first one is by using the application dot properties we have implemented, as you can see here, and the second way is like we are getting from the database, right? So in that we have implemented like two validations, checking if the amount is less than zero, and the other one is we are if the same merchant transaction reference ID is using, we need to throw the duplicate transaction. So the third one is in last 5 minutes of time. So the user only should perform this many transactions. So that is the uh, business and that is the requirement that we got. So that is the one thing we should work on. So if the user is going to perform more than this many transactions, particular transactions, so we should throw the exception. So where if he in the last 5 minutes, if the user has going to perform more than three transactions, so if we set the limit as three, threshold limit as 3, and if the user is going to perform more than 3 transactions in the particular 5 minutes, then we should throw the exception like the reach has the limit has reached, like please try after some time. So that is the one thing which we have, which I am going to give the demo. The code is already have implemented. I am going to show you the flow, like exactly how we have done it, and I am going to cover the debugging concept as well as today, like how to debug the code and what are the things we have in it, and I'm going to use the Redis as well, and by using the Redis client, going to perform like some transactions using the Redis client. We'll perform like some basic operations on it and we'll get the understanding of it. Okay, so first let us go here. Okay, it's recording fine, not sure. So now we go here. Actually, I have already started the application. Let me close it. Let me stop it. Sorry. We clear the console. So the third validation is if you go here in the payment attempt threshold check. Actually, we are statically declaring these values, but in general, we should not do that. We should like read from the database. That is the one thing. And the other thing would be like, so that is we are going to implement it as well, like reading from the Redis server instead of reading from the database. Since like this value is static, it is not going to be changed frequently. So if you put this value, we can get that from the Redis, right? Like in from temporary location. But have implemented like as of now, like we are statically declaring these values in our class itself, and we are trying to throw the exception. Okay, this is the like time we have set it actually, into duration is as 5, and like if the maximum payment threshold is more than 5, we should throw the exception, or else we should only let us try to keep as 3 this value as of now and try to save it. And how we are doing, as we have seen like before demo, already in the this valid renum class, how we have done for the two different validations before, so we are going to do in the same way. So We have declared one validator rule 3 where we use like payment item threshold check. This is the string, and we have used like payment item threshold check dot class. So this rule we are going to read from the database, like while the application starting, like when the application itself loads. So we are going to load this as we have seen in the before demo. So after that, whenever it reads, right? So you go to controller class. As you can see, we have this validate and process payment. So whenever we do this process payment, whenever we call this controller, we come here, we map these request parameters, we go to the process and validate and process payment. For the third validation, it comes here, right? In the validate, okay, in the validate, for the sorry, for the payment attempt threshold check, right? So what we are doing here, in the payment attempt threshold check, we have created one class here in the validation. So here we are calling that. So how to do that? Like actually, so we have done the code actually implemented. So I will show you like the process, like how we have done. So in the DAO, for every table we should have the DAO. Okay, for every table we should have the DAO. So we have already that for the merchant request table we have already merchant request DAO IMPL. Okay. So in the DAO IMPL class we are going to fire a query. As you can see here, if I go to implementation for this, so what we are doing here is, see, we are going to count the the validations dot merchant payment underscore request. We are going to count the end user ID, where the count will be between this, between creation date, start time and the current time. How we are doing this, like we are using like some local date time class, and we are using like start time equals to current time dot minus time minus minutes, duration minutes. So this will going to give you the count. This query is going to fire and get a count for particular last uh, last n minutes. So we have declared the time as like, yes, 5 minutes, right? If you go to the, yeah, in the payment atom threshold check, we are given the time as 5 minutes. So we are going to get this count, okay, from the, we are going to get this count from this 5 minutes, like how many transactions like has performed the same user. Okay, so this is the query, and we are trying to just map the current time, start time, and the end user ID, right? And we are going to find this query, and after that, in the payment item threshold check, we are going to get the count. So if the count is greater than this, so we are just as we have done like before for this other two validations, for the duplicate transaction check and the valid rule one. So we are just trying to simply, we have some error code and error message and with the status, and we are trying to throw the this validation exception. Okay, and let us now try to start the application, and we'll see whether we are getting correctly or not, whether the exception is throwing correctly or not. So we'll see here in run as Spring Boot app. Okay, and after this, like we check on the debugging. the basics how to debug. So really it is important to have good debugging skills, because if we know how to debug the code, we can really we can able to address the issues and able to fix the issues and solve our problems easily. So first, let us now do this check whether it is working or not. So already since this 170 transaction is already present, so let's create like 118. Let's create this transaction as 118. Okay. And now let us try to click on send. Okay. Yeah. Okay, fine. We are getting this ID URL, and we are not changing this, right? This transaction, this end user ID. We are the same end user ID is going to perform. Okay, 1 2 3 4 7 up to 9 we are given end user ID. So yeah, we are given as 3 actually the limit. We'll try to see. We have passed for 2, so we'll use 120 here. Yeah, it's okay. Now for this, it has to throw the exception. Yes, as you can see, we have performed 3 transactions, and since we are doing very fastly, and we have set the time as like last 5 minutes. As you can see here, payment attempts exceeded. Try after some time, right? Since like we have performed like more than 3 transactions, so that is the issue, and we are setting that limit, right? Only 5 minutes and only like 3 transactions. As you can see here, we are trying to throw the exception for that class. Okay. We'll check in the database actually once how we have. If we go to database, you can see here this 1 2 3 4 up to 9. This per user ID we have created up to 117. That is the last one. Now we have gone up to 80. Yeah, let's try to do the first. Yeah, now if you can see here. Yeah, for 121 up to 121, we have trying to insert the transaction, but for the fourth transaction, we are trying to throw the exception, like the number of limits has reached, so you should not do any transaction. So that is the third validation which have worked is as of now, which is the payment attempt threshold check. So now let us work on the debugging part. I'll show you right now how to like the essential of debugging. We'll like only show like some basic understanding of it. So we'll stop the application. Okay, we'll stop the application. We'll see for this particular transaction like how debugging helps us exactly. Okay, by debugging we can know the flow exactly, like how it is flowing or not. So how the code is flowing or not. So we'll only check like for this condition, or else like for the less than amount we can go for the amount is less than 0, we are throwing right exception. So we'll check for that. Okay, yeah, first we'll go to controller, payment controller. Here we are. So I have put already the debug point. Whenever, so this is whenever we want to do the debugging, first we need to put the breakpoint, like in order to hit it, right? Otherwise if we never put the breakpoint, the code is not going to stop. I mean the process is not going to, it's going to be processed, it's not going to stop at that particular process. It's like CPU where it is running code by code. So by putting the breakpoint, we are we are saying like break at this point, and let me see like what and how the code is going and what actual values are coming to it. Okay, we are putting a break for it. So this is the starting method, right? So first thing is that we need to identify actually like which method we are need to debug, or else like which class we need to check, which class we need to put the debug. So whenever we can see here, here whenever we do the localhost 801/v1/payments, the first thing which we are hitting is this controller, right? This controller. Because if there are so many controllers, we need to identify actually which particular control we need to go and identify, and which because in larger application there will be n number of controllers, and you need to identify like in which controller we are having that issue. So we need to identify actually that controller. How will be knowing that controller means? So uh, based on the issue you got and based on the like steps they have mentioned, you would be able to identify like so this is the controller. Okay, right. So based on that we can be able to first we need to identify the controller, and we need to put the point like which it is, which is the method actually we are calling. Okay, if we see the in the logs as well, whenever we try to hit the whenever we try to hit the method in the logs, we can able to identify like there is a controller. Okay, as you can, if you go here, I will show you exactly. I have clicked here. Okay, we have stopped the application, right? Sorry. Here you can see that we are able to see actually that controllers. Okay, like where like what is the controller it is hitting. Like you can see here, right? It's payment service API. And if you go again some back here, so as you can see here, you can see right, this is the first payment controller we are hitting. This is the first payment controller hitting whenever the endpoint, whenever we are calling this URL. So this is the point. This is the controller. This is the controller and controller that is hitting. So we just need to go to this controller, right? Because see, whenever we try to hit that point, this is the controller where it is started, where it is going to call, where it is getting called, right? So in the logs, in the console, we are able to find, what is the controller actually. Because at the initial stages, it will be we are like since in a bigger application, right? There will be so many controllers, and if you don't know, like even unable to identify like the controller, because identifying the controller is the first step, right? Without identifying the controller, you where you could go and put the breakpoint, because it doesn't make any sense. So in order to identify it, you should come here in the console and check, okay, this is the payment controller it is calling. Okay, right? And we are trying to put some some log statements. Okay, okay, that means we need to identify, go and check the code manually, so where this log statement was written, and start putting the breakpoint. As you can see a payment request received, this is the first log statement we are going that they are printing. That means this is the method, right? This is the method, this is the method, which is the method create payment is the method it is hitting, right? So otherwise if you don't know, if there are, because in a controller there will be many methods, there will be hundreds of methods, and you need to identify, right, like which method it is getting hit. Because if, even if we find a controller, it's okay, we have find the controller, that's fine, but which method we need to put the breakpoint, and that is the big question, right? Because there are be so many methods in a controller. In a bigger application, in larger application, there will be so many methods, and you put some other breakpoint. If you put the breakpoint in some other method, what will happen means like if it is not the exact method it is calling, means like it will not come here to this particular point, because you have put the breakpoint somewhere. You have put the breakpoint somewhere, and you are trying to check for this point, but since the application is not redirecting the button you have hit, or the endpoint you are trying to hit from the postman is not the method that is trying to getting. Okay, that is not the method that is accessing, it is a different method. So by looking at the console, we should able to identify the controller, and based on statements as we are doing, we are able to, like, at one step only we are able to identify that method exactly, but at initial stages, okay, we should be uh, it will be taking time, so you should be clear, like, okay, if you check the logs, if you go and check in the console, you can able to enter the controller, and from that, like, based on this log statement, right? Since here we got, right, some first beginning log statement, right? So based on that one, we are able to identify, right, that method. If there are so many methods, then it will be difficult for us. So based on this method, we will be doing, right. So this, it is hitting the payment controller, and there is one payment request statement is printed. So this is the statement, as you can see, payment request received, and so we can put the breakpoint, right. Okay, this is the first basic step: identifying the controller, identifying the method. Okay, now we'll see here. Now we'll start. Here there are other things as well. This is the as you can see, our where are there, those are gone now. Okay, let me start the application so that it will be clear. Okay, debug as. First, if you want to debug the code, we should not run as application, we should debug as. There is option called debug as. Debug as. Okay, Spring Boot app. Okay, this is the one thing. So we are now debugging the code. Okay, debugging. Okay, the application has started. Okay, application started, and we have, like, loaded these rules. Like, if you want to check, like, whether how these rules are happening, like, whenever if you go to this post construct, right, I will show you now the magic of like how, like, when it is loading, and if you put the debug point over here, you'll be able to actually see, if you can see, or okay, uh, validated the INPL. Okay, validated the INPL, payment service INPL. Okay, I will show you now. See, we'll see here. We'll see what will happen means. I have put the point here. So I will restart the application. Now we'll see how these values are loading by debugging the code. Because there was the issue, like, we are able to get only these two rules: valid rule one and duplicate transaction check. So by debugging, we'll be knowing, like, okay, the third rule is not loading. So here you can see, like, maybe in the database, like, we have not inserted those value, or like, whether there is some other issue. Okay, if we now debug as Java application, debug as Spring Boot app. Now see what will happen. Now it will redirect, it will trigger this. Okay, it will trigger this. Here you can see, right, now it is asking to just click on it is it will be going to the debug perspective switch. Here you can see, right, see the magic. It is, whenever the payment service, whenever the Spring Boot is creating the objects, right. So whenever, like, during the loading of the application itself, the object is created for us, right. So then and there itself, in the payment service INPL class, you can see it was triggered, right. Otherwise, if we not put the breakpoint here, it will be not getting, right, this point. It will not stop this application, not stop at this point. Here you can see, like, since, like, we have not even loaded those this validation rules. Okay, we are now just will debug it. You see, Now here we have put the breakpoint. If you want to put the breakpoint, we just need to double click it. If you click one more time, double click, it will skip. So next time, like again, if the application started, if you put the debug point again, it will trigger this point because we are only just checking for one time. So you can by clicking again, by clicking it can be removed, or else if you click this skip or break points, those will be disabled. As you can see, like one cross line has marked here, right? So that means like this line is like disabled. So that breakpoint is disabled. Okay, now we have enabled it. So here you can see here load activation rules, load active validator names. We'll go to the implementation. So again, we need to put the breakpoint here. Since we are going to the we need to check here. So we have these things we should know, these operations. This is the step over. This step over, what will do means it will go to the next line. Okay, and this step into means like it will go into that method. This step return means it will return back, it will return back from that method. So we are here. So here we need to go into this load active validator names, right? So we'll click on this. We are going to into, see the name itself it's saying, right? Step into. So we want to go into that method, and we need to put the breakpoint as well. Like without putting the breakpoint, it's not going to stop there. So we need to put the breakpoint, and we need to click on step into now. So what will happen now? It will go to that method now. Okay, we click on step into. See what will happen. It has gone to some other method. Okay, we return, I think some internal method might be calling. Okay, we can step return now. Okay, no, we can return. Okay, see, yeah, here we came to the this method. Okay, there it might be some other internal method actually calling before that. Here we got to, we are came into this load active validator names. So we'll go to step by step here. uh, Here you can see like by hovering here, so you can see here, right? Okay, this entire query is loaded. Select validator name from validations where is that equals to true or reverse name. The query is loaded, so we just need to map those values, right? Not map, so like maps not required here, sorry. So we just firing that query and we are using JDBC template. So it is going to this JDBC template is going to connect with the database, this object class, this reference, and going to get the resulted query. Okay, you have clicked on step over. That means what will happen now? It will come to this next line, right? This 32 line. Okay, it's loading since like it is yeah, we are dealing with the database, right? So here if you go here, if you can see here, see it has fired this query. If you go to this SQL query, we have this SQL query and we have this string class, and we have from this query it has got us like these three are the validator names present in this validation rule class. Okay, what are those validation rule? One, duplicate transaction check, and the payment attempt threshold check. Okay, so if we know step over, so step over is means like going to the next line. Okay, so now you can see here, right? So whenever we are starting the application, they are able to see these three things, right? So how it got, as you have debugged, right? Now we are able to understand, right? Exactly. Since we have debugged the code, okay, this line has executed. So it is printing this log statement for us here. In which class we are in the validated OIMP. The application started, right? Tomcat has started port number, and these are the things like which we are initializing like when the application getting started, like which is like connecting the database. Okay, Hikari pool. Now we'll read like we'll do step over so that it will go to the back, right? So it has gone to some other method. We'll like we can step return. Like there are so many methods actually inside. Like when you click on return, there is the reason like it is going. Well, let's see. we have got to actually, yeah, okay, fine, we have came, okay, like some internal methods were there actually, so it is calling those. So when we click on step over, so we have got, came out here, and finally we are went into this method and we are came here. Now we click on step over. So now what will happen? So these are logged out activator rules are should print this line, right? We click on step over. Okay, yes, now you can see here activator rules are validator rule 1 duplicate transaction check. This is the log statement, right? We are printing. So this has executed. So it is printing in the console, right? No issue with this. Okay. So yeah. So if we do the debugging, right? So if you now go to step over, see the entire thing. So there are so many some methods like invoke, which is like it is invoking like. So okay, this is the now we stop return from this. Okay, so like there are so many some internal methods. You can see like how like Spring Boot they have written like so many internal methods as written before like enter application, like we are see written we are creating bean here. Like we'll see here, we'll check. Okay, it's on. Let us step over. Okay, we are see here we are using singleton object. We'll try to do step over once. We'll see like what is there inside this for which singleton object. Yeah, here you can see for the payment service IMPL class, we are having this. Uh, we are having this singleton object. Okay, see this is the code. So which we are like not required like to check for this entire thing. Okay, return do get bean. So see here we are getting this bean factory dot get bean. So actually internally the code is written for us like dependency lookup. Okay, it is the Spring already doing for us where it is getting the bean for us. Okay, since we have declared at the rate service right for the class. Okay, list of return. See, okay. So it is resolving the dependencies like if there are any resolvers or present automate configuration. So like it's going on like this. So we are like not required for all the internal code to check. Let us try to skip the breakpoints and click on resume. Okay. Now you can see here like entire how many things are up to until we have seen this, right. So after this, the application is started. Okay, it is anyway. Tom gets started on port. Okay. So now if we can go here and if we can do the transaction, here we are going to perform it. Now we'll throw this record already exists. So here also same again. So we just need to first identify the controller. Like since we are having only one controller, okay. Like if you go here itself, we are able to identify it. The console itself only we can able to identify it. Okay, this is the like, right. You can see like this payment controller. Okay, this they are getting and this. Okay, yeah. So this is the anti debugging, and now we check on the this Redis catching few commands as well. So I will open this command. Okay, I will show you these things for you as of now. Yeah, and we'll check the like some basic operations like from ChatGPT will be we'll see the basic operations actually. Okay, like how to do some. It was actually very interesting. Okay, so there are like different ways we can store since it is like a same. It is not like SQL. Like you should have some syntax right in order to set the values, insert the values, get the values right. So they are using like set my key already. So we'll try to insert this. Like if you want to only like store some strings, they are using like set my key and that value. If you want to get that, this is the name and field uh, value. Okay, and this is the type. That means like we are going to set it. Okay, and if you want to store the list, means we are using the list, and there is hashes as well, like a key and value. Field one is a key and value one is value. Field two is a key, value two is value. Field three is a key and value three is a value. So let us now try to use some basic operations, and we have like a right push. That means like we are going to add in the right side of the list. Like a right push means like adding right side, and left push there will be like left push as well. So we'll be adding left side of the list. Those are values. Okay, as you can see here, R push, there will be like R push and L push as well. Okay, so again now we'll go to the, we'll do some like only basic Redis commands. We'll copy this. We'll go here and we'll go here. This is the already setup we have done, and we are on the Redis server. We have run the command. Okay, we'll try to run one more time. So we have seen like okay, before I have already run these commands. As you can see, set my key already I have added before. Okay, you can see here. Okay, that means like it was successful. So if we do the get my key, means that means get, it's already trying to, okay, we have got it already. And if you want to delete, right, delete, if you go to the syntax here, delete my key, right, if you use the same command here, we can see, yeah, delete my key. This one indicates like it was successful. Okay, now if you want to get, right, we'll see like get my key is present or not. Okay, so that whether we'll know whether that value is deleted or not. Okay, get my key. So see here nil, since like we have deleted, right, so that is the one thing. And see here we have added some list. Okay, like okay, right push my list, value 1, value 2, value 3, and r push, which is like we are going to right push the values. And r pop will do what, like we'll do the like we'll remove the values like which is on the topmost value, which is on the right pop, means which is on the rightmost value in the list. So it is going to be removed. And if you use the key, means key star, means like what are the values, like what are all the keys we have added so far, we are going to get it. Okay, key star. Okay, you see like these are the this many keys, push value key 96, key 97, and my list z1 k90. Okay, since like we have deleted my key, so we are not getting that the keys. And yeah, this is the entire only we have done like some basic uh, operations, basic commands on the Redis. You can do like all this as well. Okay, and this is the entire thing. So yeah, thank you, thank you all, uh, thank you one and all. We'll meet you in the next time.